I think.
Okay, got it.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and potential Toastmasters. Welcome to Wake Up with Toastmasters. I am your Club Growth Director for District 115, Ken Richardson, at least for another week or so until July 1st or June 30. And with me today is my co-host, the lovely Phyllis Tribby. Good morning, Phyllis. How are you?
Good morning, Ken. I am sensational as usual. You know, life is what it is. Love it or not. You know, I understand today we're going to talk about mentoring. Anybody that has a comment out there, you know, the reason we're live is to hear and see those comments. So please send us a comment.
We are live. Everything is functioning as it should be. So we're on Facebook Live. And if you're looking for us, our Facebook page is TMD115CGD. So if you put that in the facebook.com search, you will find us. And excuse me, as Phyllis said,
let's tell our public that is not going to change on July 1st. It is always going to be that. So you can always reach us.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. We make sure that we transition from one role to the next, but we maintain, to the best of our ability, the similar email addresses so that people don't have to remember a new email address or a new Facebook page. So you'll get a new person, but the contact information will all be the same. It'll be D115CGD or something to that effect. Now, today we said we're going to talk about mentoring. And I know this is something that is near and dear to your heart and mine as well. I think it's an important aspect of Toastmasters. And if we do a good job mentoring, I think that that's part of the foundation of having long-term members. You need to do a good job with that. But there is some confusion because there actually are a couple of different kinds of mentoring. So we want to distinguish between mentoring and sponsoring a new club versus mentoring individual members. You want to take a shot at that, Phyllis? Explain the difference?
Well, when you mentor a club, this indicates that this is a new club of 20 new members. There must be at least 17 members that are new to Toastmasters, and there could be 3 that are dual members. So this club does not know the protocol for Toastmasters. By protocol, I mean, how is a meeting set up? You know, what does a Toastmaster do? What do each of the roles indicate? What are they to do? How to be a club officer. Each one of the club officers has to be elected between those new members. And so the club mentor actually goes and is with the club for like 6 months. They should attend every meeting, in my estimation, and help them learn the protocol and how to be a club officer and how to fill the roles. And also, I believe the mentor should be the person that has all those crib sheets ready to go so that when a person is a timer, they have a crib sheet to fill out. They know what to say. There's an introduction for the timer so that when the person is asked to explain their job, it's already written out. They know what to say, and then they know how to follow through and do the job. And it's up to the mentor to help teach those things. Now, for a personal mentor, that is a person that would mentor just an individual in your club, a new member who needs to learn all of those things also, but you're just doing it a one-on-one basis. So one of the things that I miss, and I'm wondering if this is why our mentorship has gone down, is that in the legacy program, a program we had before, In order to get your advanced communicator gold, you had to mentor a new member for at least 3 speeches. That is not listed in the new pathways. They teach you about mentorship and coaching, but they do not assign it as one of the projects that you must do. And so I don't think it's being done as much. Yes, when new members come in, we try and find them somebody that can work with them, or they ask a friend to help them learn the protocol, given the speeches, to be sure that they're doing it right. And as I say, it could be assigned, could be asked for. I mean, I've already been volunteered for a new member who's not joined yet, but when she joins, I'm supposed to be her mentor. But that's one of the things I'm wondering if that's a cause of our falling down on the mentorship program.
I think those are some very good points. Particularly, I'm glad that you mentioned the crib sheets that you
Yes.
can find on Toastmasters International that will help new members or new clubs, particularly, sort of find their way through the traditional Toastmaster roles and what they need to do. As far as mentoring overall, you're right. It's mentions. There are some things to do within pathways on Toastmasters mentoring. I think it's called Introduction to Mentoring. But there isn't that requirement that you mentor someone for X amount of time. I think where that comes in is going back to something we've discussed and looked at is moments of truth. It's up to the club to build certain quality metrics within their club that carry forward. I think of it as developing a habit of quality. And it includes those things that are embodied or are enumerated, I guess I should say, within the moments of truth. And that's things like mentoring, making sure that when you have a new member, the VP of Education assigns them a mentor, making sure that you have a new member orientation for new members, that you talk to them about pathways, walk them through what pathways is. Now, we do have, thanks to our program quality director, Gene Williams, we have a mechanism that is available to all clubs and members through the Educational Enrichment Night. She has established a standard where on the second Saturday of every month, we will have a new member orientation, not meant to supplant what the clubs are doing, but to supplement, and an introduction to pathways. And those 2 classes are always part of Educational Enrichment Night. So folks will always have that opportunity. But I think that mentoring, new member orientation, the things that you find in moments of truth, they are keys to creating and maintaining a quality club. And if you, as a club, and particularly the club president, set the standard, then you create what I think of as a habit of quality.
I think that works with most clubs, but a requirement in order to get a level is going to happen more frequently. I gotta say that the clubs that I've been in, I think that when it's a requirement, it's more likely to get done, other than, yes, it should be done. Requirement and should be 2 different things, and I think they should have it as a requirement.
I would agree. And I know that within the Successful Club series, there is a section on mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that that you are so dedicated to mentoring that you've changed the meaning of DTM. Instead of Distinguished Toastmasters, it means dedicated to mentoring.
That's
So
right.
share with us, Phyllis, what are some of the key things or key characteristics you think you need to be a good mentor to a new Toastmaster?
Well, willingness, of course. And, there are some people that legitimately do not have enough time in their lives to make it all happen. But when you have the time and you have the willingness, it's just available to you to be a mentor to others, to help in any way you can. And sometimes you're a mentor and you don't even know that you are a mentor. I had a friend that I actually met at one of our conferences. This woman was sitting alone, and there was like about 5 of us that went into a restaurant. And when I looked at her, I said, "Toastmasters?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "No Toastmaster eats alone. Come over and sit with us." So we became great friends. I actually visited her while she was in Alaska, and she did stay with me here in Las Vegas when we had conferences, and we just did general talking. Then when I got ready to run for the top 3, she brought me over by hand and introduced me to everybody that was at her table, about 15 people, and said, "This is the woman that gave us," and everything that I had talked about to her, she was explaining that it was my personal thought, but actually it was my training that I was giving to her. So we mentor one another, whether we realize it or not. So I think that willingness to explain and give your ideas to someone and listen to theirs is a main part of being a mentor. And I do believe that when you have DTM behind your name, you are a distinguished Toastmaster, that you should be dedicated to mentoring, that you should be the first one to say yes, no matter what the project is or who the person is, and help them in any way you can. There are always times when it's not available to you, but yes, say yes, and figure out how to do it. Find a mentor for yourself so you could mentor someone else.
I think that's good advice. So willingness is a key component. And I like what you said about if you're a DTM, you should be setting an example for others. And all too often, I've seen that some DTMs they disengage. I've got my DTM. I don't need to do anything further. Just let me coast.
I think that is so true. I have been to clubs where they are brilliant speakers and unbelievable evaluators, and yet they're not doing anything to help the club become distinguished because they're not in pathways. Well, no, you're DTM, you don't need to do this, but you do. You need to set an example. And there is nothing more upsetting to me than to go to a meeting where a distinguished Toastmaster is not doing a speech that fits into pathways. And any speech, I'm telling you, any speech fits into pathways. There's a place for it.
I think you're absolutely correct about that. Pathways is much more flexible than perhaps people realize. And a lot of folks who transition from the legacy program into pathways found it very awkward or cumbersome. And I think that's because the technology sometimes gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the projects and the path and assignments that are in any given path, you will find that there's a lot of similarities with the legacy program. It's perhaps structured a little bit different. The assignments are different. The way you get each level accomplished is different, yes, but there are still many, 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 many projects that I can think of that easily fit into that pathway. I do want to acknowledge a couple of folks online here. First is Jennifer Smith. Good morning, Jennifer. And Jean Williams, our incoming district director, has joined us. Hi, Jean. Glad to see you this morning. We mentioned we're talking about mentoring today, and Phyllis, this is a topic that's near and dear to her heart. and mine as well. It's something that if you are properly mentored, then you are much more likely to be a long-term Toastmaster because you will get the foundation you need to understand all that Toastmasters has to offer for you. And then it's up to you. But as leaders and club members, club officers, it's our job really to provide that foundation. And if folks don't have a idea of how to go about it, there is a whole section in the Successful Club series that you can download for free. It includes a booklet, and it includes a certificate. There's a PowerPoint, although I have to say the PowerPoint is a little weak. I'm just saying it could be beefed up a bit. But there's always something to help you, and there's always someone available to help you as well. So we talked about willingness, we talked about DTMs. What are a couple of the specific tasks, Phyllis, that you think a mentor should absolutely do to get started on the right foot?
Well, one of Kay Collis's favorite phrases is, you don't know what you don't know. You can't ask questions if you don't know anything at all about it. So I think really a mentor has to be good at explaining additional things. Immediately came to mind going beyond the club. What are the ideas of going on beyond your club level and explaining those to your protege? I understand there's not a word called mentee, which is a protege. You explain those things to your protege. My first protege in Toastmasters was Guy Dawson. And I like to think that I gave him a good foundation to go on and achieve all that he has. I can't take any credit for being a speaker because he is a tremendous speaker from the beginning. But I'm hoping that I instilled in him some of those beyond the club ideas to go on. But that's one of the things is some knowledge. You have to have knowledge. And if somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, you've got mentors of your own that you can go to. I know you love the TI website, and it does have a lot of answers, but sometimes it's best to ask your mentor and verify that they're putting out the same information that you are giving to your protege, and instill them in life and Toastmasters, because that's what we are. We are all lifers and want them to continue on so that when they reach a pinnacle, that they have the knowledge, that they're willing to share that knowledge with others. So those are some ideas for a great mentor that you instill in them to go on beyond the club and that they share what they have learned.
Yeah, I'm reminded, you made me think of, I had a marketing professor when I was in graduate school whose famous saying was that you really can't motivate anybody. They have to motivate themselves. But what you can do is provide the knowledge they need to decide whether or not they're motivated to take a specific course of action. So that always kind of stuck with me. And I think it relates and translates to mentoring in that you have to give everyone the information they need. And then if they're motivated themselves to be a long-term Toastmaster, you've done your part. You've given them you need. And that also relates to what you said about Kay's famous saying, you don't know what you don't know.
Up to you to explain to them the knowledge that you have, and so they'll want to go on.
Yes. And the tools are there for experienced Toastmasters to use. We've talked about some of them, some of the tools that are available, like in the Successful Club series, that will help you to be a mentor. But we're going to be having some classes coming up in Educational Enrichment Night. We're going to have a class on mentoring. We'll be spending a little bit more time. We've got about half an hour in the Wake Up with Toastmasters, but we'll spend about 50 minutes or so getting a lot more detailed on mentoring and explaining the differences between mentoring a new club, as we did in our opening, and mentoring an individual, because they are very, very different. Both are very important, but they are quite different. And the other thing to point out is there's no real timeline, is there, on being a mentor? If you have someone that has been your mentor, and I know you and I both have folks who have achieved, DTM or beyond the club level, have been in district leadership, and some of the folks that I mentored, and I still consider myself to be a part of their Toastmasters journey, so that they can always call on me if they need anything that I can do to help them. So you never really stop being a mentor, do you, Phyllis?
No, that is so true. And at different times in your Toastmaster career, you need different people. And I think that's where the mentorship comes in, as you're available to help in any way you can. So if Guy, as I say, Guy was my first protege. If he needs something, he'll come to me. If he feels I'm the one that can best help. So I think as you go up the Toastmaster ladder, you find other mentors, but always people that will help you. And that's the main thing I find in Toastmasters, willingness to help. I mean, I've seen it even in contests where two people are competing, but they're still helping one another. So they want success. And that's, how I look at it, is everybody wants your success. They're all mentors to you.
And I think that's very important to realize that Toastmasters is a learning organization. And just as you never stop learning, you never really stop helping each other. And I think that's sort of baked into what we do as Toastmasters. I want everyone in my club to succeed.
Exactly.
So what can I do to help make sure that happens? And I always feel like there's something more that I should have done or could have done that maybe I didn't do to help people get to the next level. And I always take it personally. If we lose a member, it's like, oh, where did I fail?
Yes,
to
I
reach
did
out.
not call them often enough.
Exactly.
Maybe my feedback wasn't good. Yes, I truly understand that. But I want people to realize that we all talk about our Toastmaster life, but being a mentor is not only for Toastmasters. If you have a member that needs some help outside of Toastmasters, yes, go ahead. You're a mentor. Help them out. Give them ideas. Don't force yourself on them, but if they want help, give it. And Toastmasters, I believe, are very giving.
Well, I can give you an example from my personal experience. I had a protege. I'm so used to saying a mentee, but
Yes,
I had a
me too.
protege who was preparing for a business presentation.
Yes.
And I helped her go over this was, we didn't have Zoom, so we just stayed after a regular meeting when we were meeting in person and go over, here's what the goals of the presentation are. We had a dry run of the presentation. It was about a 15-minute presentation, something like that, for her business, reporting on a project that her work group was to report on. And so that's follows what you were talking about there. This was really didn't have anything to do directly with Toastmasters, but it was nevertheless communication and presentation skills, building those skills and translating them into a business environment. So when you are a mentor, you'll be prepared to go above and beyond. I like the fact that you mentioned that. And I do want to mention that as we go forward, we're going to be looking at sort of the differences between this and a club coach. That's the other sort of role that you can play that is actually undergoing some change right now at the level of Toastmasters International. The current system is very basic, very simple. We have a training program. You are our club coach trainer, and we appreciate your doing that. But next year, starting July 1, it's going to be different. It's going to be offered through pathways, through base camp. There are a lot more opportunities, or actually the requirements, I guess I should say. I haven't seen all the details yet, but there's more back and forth between the club members and the coach. There's sort of a two-way evaluation system being put into place, and a two-way system that is much better documented than what we do. I have to say that what we do now is a little bit informal. I'll talk to a club coach. How's things going? How's it going? Is there anything I can do to help you? Yeah. Whereas the new system is a little bit more structured. As I say, we haven't seen the rollout yet, but it's coming. So I want people to be aware of that, because I kind of think that there's a lot of this that it relates, whether you're a club coach, you're a mentor, you're a club mentor for a new club or a sponsor for a new club. It is all about helping Toastmasters, particularly new Toastmasters, get up and running, get their feet wet, so to speak. So that's something that we'll be looking forward to, because we'll be discussing that, no doubt. Well, we have about 3 minutes left, Phyllis. So is there anything you want to say to sort of wrap things up for our viewers?
Well, there are many DTMs, and I did notice that many of the awards and pathways are going to DTMs, and I think that that is a fantastic thing to know that DTMs are doing pathways and great, reaching levels, getting awards. And I think that is the most important thing you can do for your club. If you're a distinguished Toastmaster dedicated to mentoring, that you continue your education. There's always something new to learn, but if you're not doing it, why would others want to do it? So you have to be a mentor to all by stepping forth and getting those educational levels.
Yeah, it's a matter of sharing what we have gotten out of Toastmasters, what we continue to gain from Toastmasters, and sharing that with others. Well, thank you, Phyllis. It's been you've sort of been our guest today, a guest and co-host. So you're sort of in a dual role there. But I did want to make sure that we spent some time just having a dialogue about mentoring, and this is fit the bill perfectly. I want to remind our viewers that we have an in-person TLI coming up this Saturday. It is at the LDS Church on 5160 Lone Mountain Road. Doors open at 8. Classes start at 8:30. So please be there. If you haven't completed your TLI training, your officer training, this is a good opportunity to do that. We will have an online TLI on July 9th, but I like the opportunity to get together and have the in-person contact. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a online meeting, and that's a preference for some folks, particularly some of the I guess the younger folks are more in tune with the technology. Us older folks, we can learn it. In any event, we do have the TLI coming up on this Saturday. If you want more information, you can send me an email, d115cgd@gmail.com. If you want more information on the online, also send it to that email. So we're going to say goodbye this morning. Anything final there, Phyllis?
Game night. Let's talk about game night. Yes.
Thank you. I haven't had enough coffee yet this morning. I think that's my problem.
Okay.
In any event, game night is the last Saturday of the month. It is a very informal event that our program quality director, Gene Williams, started. It's just a fun time to get together with other Toastmasters and play like trivia games. They have trivia games and things like, I know some of the games I've attended. We played Jeopardy. We played, what was it? Pictionary. That's the one. That's using, Zoom has a whiteboard you can use. I'm not a very good artist, but Pictionary and other kinds of games. I know they've had an escape room. So if you'd like more information about game night, send me an email and I'll make sure that you get the link. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you on Tuesday. We'll be back on Tuesday, but tomorrow, Gene Williams and Gene Dunford will be here with Wake Up with Toastmasters. They cover the show on Mondays and Fridays, and then on Wednesdays, Jennifer Smith, our current PRM, soon to be Division Director, Jennifer Smith. So be sure and tune in every day, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Have a great day, everyone, and a great weekend.
Bye.